think today we're going to be talking about a new program for HUD, and this will be that HUD's considering cash payments over Section 8 housing vouchers. This is a program that's been in consideration across the U.S. Now for probably about a year. Now, in 20, I think it was 2019, we were considering universal housing vouchers as a potential option for housing, but it looks like HUD's been running through some different ideas about how we can ease some of the housing related market needs for those that are using housing vouchers. So, anyways, to get started, my name is Jay. I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com, and today I'm going to introduce you to a newer program that may be able to roll out nationwide if they get approval. But it's important to understand that in the process of utilizing vouchers and the potential to offer this to most clients, we have to look at whether or not um, the feds will permit the use of federal funding for those to receive cash assistance. So as of now, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is encouraging the local housing authorities across America to experiment with giving cash directly to renters in a pilot program. And this is something they're looking to roll across parts of California as of now. And it wants to know if the simplified method, which cuts down on red tape and puts more power in the tenant's hands, works better than its decades-old approach of the voucher system that many of you have struggled to use. Now, one thing I want to tell you guys is I attempted to do this on my computer, which has a really good 4K camera and awesome sound, and now I'm relegated to my phone because clearly I forget often to do updates on the desktop, and so here we are with this really shitty video and sound. Hopefully, you guys will be able to hang with me through it. I know I was certainly annoyed at having to stop and start the video two times because it had a black screen. So this could be a significant surcharge on how HUD implements subsidies, and there are many community partners considering this. I think that if we can find a fundamental way to take federal funding and then funnel it through PHAs or nonprofits that would allow it to convert into a program and that program be able to issue the federal funds, that would allow a lot of people to be able to receive cash. But let's look at the essence of the program itself. Now, already, there are several things that make housing authorities bad administrators of this program. First of all, we're looking at the possibility of housing quality inspections, other rules, accommodations, and other requests. But the overall thing is the concept's really not that different because the reality of it is the housing authority is giving direct deposit of cash into the landlord's account as it is now. This is only suggesting that the money would be funneled through a different program to direct deposit to a person's account, and thus it would be undetectable that they're a participant in the program. But here's the problem with that. In order to participate in Section 8 programs, you still have to do a HAP contract. So at some point, even if the tenant or potential person using these funds has to include the housing authority in HAP contracts or housing quality inspections, then we're back at zero. It's the same thing, right? So I think if they truly turn this into a cash assistance program and then just shut down all these housing authorities, then this could potentially work. It means that on good merit, you've qualified a person first to receive the funds, two, you're being able to deposit that directly in their account. They can claim it as income, I guess, in a hidden way, and then that would allow anybody in America that qualifies for the program itself to receive cash in their bank account and in turn just go find any normal apartment. So there'd be no disqualifying factors unless there has to be more bureaucracy through the HAP contract, the housing quality inspection. So I think sometimes that what we're discovering is that maybe those that need housing vouchers maybe be better to let them take that money and let them go find ordinary housing solutions versus having the government step in and try to enforce all these different rules and then administrate that through these poorly organized and housing authorities and then have all these insurmountable rules and housing quality inspections. Because I think the reality of it is all these additional protections have now made it so difficult to use vouchers, it subjugates those of you that want to use the voucher to specific types of housing, and then there's prejudicial behavior behind the landlords not wanting to accept. this would be a much clearer solution. You qualify, you receive the money in your account, and then you go as any ordinary retiree or working class person, and then you're showing a proof of income, and then you rent wherever the hell you want to, and then we don't need to have all these different protections. People that work are disabled. We have disabled people in that market. And guys, I see you do commenting, guys, but keep in mind I'm on the phone, and I even forgot to put my eyeglasses on, so my ability to respond to live comments is going to be very limited. Okay, otherwise you really will see all the wrinkles under my eyes. My age is starting to show. So right now, they're rolling this out in parts of the East Coast in California, and I hope will be a success because this is a much better plan than the universal housing voucher. And I'm hoping that Congress can agree on this. And I think if we can do this, then we can pretty much get rid of all the housing authorities. I mean, there needs to be some governing body over the process, obviously. But I mean, after a person qualifies and then receives the assistance, as so long as they're meeting those requirements privately without the knowledge of the landlord, then that person should be able to use that cash money. If they're using it appropriately to go get a place to live, then they should be able to operably go on the market as any normal person and get any normal place to live. And that would eliminate low income housing, subsidies, and all the other nonsense. It means we need the government to step out, quit trying to regulate all this stuff. You can regulate the use of that cash money that the client receives, but that's where the buck should stop because we've seen federal intervention before, and what we have this is an 80 years menagerie of a convoluted system of vouchers and too many fucking requirements, and then you top it with news agencies that have had 80 years to sit on TV and talk about all the different juicy things and prejudicial behaviors that have highlighted or made those that receive vouchers look like they're bad people. And so I think that eliminates a lot of this. So it also would allow a lot more funding, right? Because then if we can eliminate all, you should see the amount of money HUD spends, and it's not HUD, the amount of money Congress, we have to push money in all these different directions for projects and all this. It's like we're creating a second community of living and living standards for people, when in fact this whole process could be limited down to simply qualifying a person to receive it. If they use the funds fairly and reasonably to go out and get an ordinary place to live, then it eliminates all this oversight, all these crazy programs. And then if they want to keep that governing body or federal agency there, it should be there for programs like HUD home ownership or FSS, which is family self-sufficiency, and it can focus on the littler matters. We can get rid of all these housing authority employees that so badly run this. I think it's a much better system in place. So the fact that it's already being rolled out somewhat as a program, and I believe there are a lot of different terms considering this, but a guaranteed income program. And again, it's not any different than issuing a voucher because one is just a coupon and a direct deposit to the landlord's account. This would be a deposit to your account, which would allow you to go out and show it as income, and then you go get a normal place. I think this is possibly the best possible solution. If the person is going to abuse or not follow the policies on how to appropriately use that money to go get an ordinary place to live, then they simply should be rejected from the system. This would cut out billions of dollars of wasted money in housing projects and other situations that simply aren't necessary. It would also eliminate a lot of the prejudicial actions and behaviors, and then of course this whole different stream of low income housing out there that actually is a different it's created a whole new market for subcategories of living. It also eliminates the ability of landlords to determine whether or not a person receives any kind of assistance. I don't really think it's their business. And the landlord's only objective should be to naturally be able to determine if a person could responsibly have the income to rent by giving that person the money and their account. That would simply show and meet the qualification, and that would eliminate a lot of other behaviors that I see that are so fairly administrated or unfairly administrated across the market. I'm hoping later this year that HUD will start making some more improved decisions. But we should also consider that if you remember correctly, before this current administration, the past one, we looked at universal housing vouchers and it was of great potential. But presidents and different congresses, depending on how it goes, can like it or dislike it, fund it or disfund it. And many of you know, starting in November, between November of later this year and 2025 in February on the new election, depending on who takes office there, we could end up in a situation where politically, social programs may not be funded that well, could be defunded, or bigger issues could play out, which could make this impossibility. So I'm going to be closely watching this. And I also want to give you a little bit of advice. Let's see if I can find the actual program requirement on here. I believe I have it in the bullet point. The reason I wanted to roll this out today is because probably this is uh, one of the better scenarios I've seen play out. So it's going to be, so the bill directs, let's see if I can find the bill that way, you guys. And you can also find the linkage for the bill. So it's called the Guaranteed Income Pilot Program Act of 2023. So again, that's the Guaranteed Income Pilot Program Act of 2023. Right now, it's in the House, and let's see what else we have on the list of that. The bill directs the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, to establish and implement a 3-year pilot program to provide guaranteed monthly income to individual taxpayers between the age of 18 and 65. And I think that limit there should go a little bit higher. And then they must also consult with the Internal Revenue Service. So there's a lot of things they need to figure out, one federal agency to another, the tax implications, how that might play out as far as income. So Jane Bill goes on, never happened. Well, it's already happened, so that means, James, you're already wrong. Okay. Oscar Calabro, let's hope so. Well, I have some hope, like a lot of things, what they're doing right now is they're testing many different concepts. To suggest now or no that it won't happen would be foolish to say that, unless you believe you're as good a weatherman as you are a consultant. Linda Sanders, yes, sir, so much waste and corruption. Look, nobody would like to, I would love to close the door in my office and say we never consult again, because this would solve the problem, and then I would move on, just go on and retire, because there would be no more necessity to deal with housing authorities that are insolvent, that cheat, lie, and steal, and misallocate funds and treat people badly. I'd love to see all 3,300 housing authorities closed. But they still need a regulating body, even if they choose to do so, to do this program. And the fact that it's already being rolled out in certain areas as testing is a testament to there is a great possibility. If you remember again the universal housing voucher, when we discussed that in 2019 and 2020, that never even got tested. So the fact that this is already out and has already shown very promising results in many ways. This isn't the only program that's a guaranteed income program. There are many others that have nothing to do with a voucher. So what we're starting to find is it's easier to let people manage their own lives and rental needs than it would be for all this government intervention. And I think we're starting to see that as a country, that if you're going to offer assistance, quit trying to manage the whole thing. If a person qualifies for the program to receive the cash assistance and they're able to actually follow the rules and use it the way that it's supposed to, then that should be fine. They can manage it. Nobody else needs to manage it. We don't need housing authorities. We don't need angry and pissed off people and all these other agencies involved in this. People can manage their own lives. They always could. It's our ability as a country to put too much bureaucracy. Oh, well, here's a gift, but here we're going to give you a gift, but we're going to create all these rules around the gift and make it too difficult for anybody to use. So how do we push for this in Illinois? Well, it's not something we can necessarily push, but I think that at the state level and also at the congressional level, that the people that are in the House and the House of Representatives and in Congress are ultimately the people that need to be pushed in order to get this pushed through. Oscar Larva goes on again. I thank you for what you're doing to help me and my wife, and much appreciated. Well, thank you for saying that, Oscar. BZB, my housing search exposed modern day. Well, I hate when I don't have my glasses. Can't read the rest, brother. Linda Sanders, I saw where they're starting in some cities in Eastern California. That's true. Callie Matthews, how do we find out what areas, and do you think the recipients can easily report over? Well, guys, what's going to happen here is, now that I've got everybody fired up, As I've mentioned, we had problems with the normal video, and I've had to go to my phone, which is not the way I wanted to do this video today. What's going to happen is I'm going to get some more research done over the next 24 to 48 hours, and I'm going to get the problem fixed with our main recording studio. And once I get that fixed next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to roll another video, and we're going to get really in depth in that. And then I'm going to disclose all the areas of the nation this will be in, what the potential implications are, who's looking at rolling this out, and who we should contact to actually push this through legally. Who can we get in a corner as far as senators and legislators to do this? All right, so looking at the comments here, looks like how do we find out who in the areas, and do you think recipients can easily port over? I'm in Mobile, Alabama, and it's a nightmare here. Well, you know what? I'll be glad, because if they do cash assistance, we don't have to worry about portability anymore. Whatever's in your checking account that you're receiving for the program, since it's federally funded, it means that you can move the heaven wherever you want in the nation, and your checking account still works the same way. The money's there, you can rent, right? So it eliminates so much of the system. In fact, it would probably we could cut HUD down to half of the size, and then we could actually, after we reduce about half the budget for HUD, we could take that and allocate that to satellite locations where actual federal employees run the processing for this, where they administrate and determine whether people qualify for the cash assistance for rent. And then you can get rid of all these housing authorities. Well, there's so many problems and lawsuits. It would cut down so much. And the only real requirement in there clearly would be that people have to follow certain rules in order to use the funds. And if they meet those rules, like I said about rolling out a situation where you have an intervention by a housing authority, it would require the person receiving the funds to make sure that they get their own independent um, inspection of whatever home they're going to, and that way it doesn't raise the eyebrows of the landlord. So completely removing the housing authority from the picture, and then possibly using a bigger chunk of HUD funding to actually have satellite locations where we have little HUD locations to qualify people for vouchers would be much more a better use of time. You'd have better educated people. The system would work a lot better, and then problems and issues that come up could be addressed much better than when you're hiring men and women that work at Taco Bell to come in and be your caseworker. Because if the little girl at McDonald's that just served your cheeseburger, and then you're driving the housing authority and find out she's a little woman that has all that attitude with you, and she's battling over a voucher, this eliminates that nonsense. It means we no longer have people that are getting their education out of a bubblegum machine as a certificate, and now we have HUD employees with actual master's degrees at satellite locations. They're making the waiting list. They're determining who's going to get the cash assistance. It means that people get treated fairly, better, much more fairly. It allows a lot more latitude than dealing with housing authorities. Keep getting kicked out. Well, Anna, ML, it's not me. We're on the phone recording, so it's certainly not that. Nicole James, greetings. Well, thank you. Linda Sanders, love your channel. Uh, Nicole James, what's going on? I'm late. Well, we're talking about, again, cash assistance. So HUD's considering cash payments over Section 8 vouchers under a pilot program called Guaranteed Income Program. In other words, no more vouchers, no more housing authorities per se, and you receive direct cash funds to your bank account with rules that require you to use that for rent, and then you can jump on the normal market. So, and again, I would tell you guys this has already rolled out parts of California, and it's my hope once we get everything fixed again with our studio, we will go live in an ordinary video, 4K video, good sound, and I'm going to go through some of the finer details. It really annoys me that I had to do this again on this phone. This is not the way I wanted to roll this out, but I think what's happened is I'm one of those people who are guilty of not actually ever turning the desktop off, so it never updated. It's not recognizing a camera. So that's how we got stuck on my phone. So let's speak this into existence. I agree with you, Beezy and ML. Hope your family's doing well. It's doing well. And you know what? Let's say a hello to a little friend, guys. Now, most of you know that I rescue cats, so and I always throw a little bit of my personal life in these videos. I'd like to introduce y'all to one of my older cats, probably one of my oldest. His name is Pops. He's joining us today. Now, he's been a very good office manager. He's just taken his lunch, and unfortunately, he's on a nap. Since I've got my phone today, it's easier to show you guys. So here's Pops. Let's see if I can get this right. Say hello, Pops. Say hello to the viewers. All right, so he says hello to you guys. Hopefully, y'all got a good look at Pops there. He's on his lunch now. He's not the most productive employee, but he still puts in more hours than most housing authority employees. And he never talks badly to people, so I'm quite impressed at our office manager's kindness, generosity, ability to work. Never complains, always clocks in. He's a constant companion of mine, and he certainly brings a lot of joy to our office. So for those that are pet lovers, you'll certainly appreciate my channel because we do a little bit more than just talk about housing. I know that many of these cats that I rescue, it's the same thing. They can't receive vouchers. They have to receive the gift of love from a human. And for those of us that care enough, we give them a home. So I guess you could say I give my cat cash assistance, right? And lots of treats. Well, guys, it's been a joy to talk to you, and I'm excited about rolling this out. I know there will be lots of skeptics, and I know there are people that are always going to see the world in a negative way, so they'll fill probably our comment section up with 10% of it. Well, 90% will be those that are remaining positive in its view of this potential. There'll be 10% of those that'll be trolls that'll say comments. So I'll spend today blocking and banning most of those people because I really don't have time for ignorance. I don't. And if I see those type of comments in our channel, I'm going to moderate it because really I'm not in the mood for bullshit today. If you're going to bring bullshit to my channel or bad attitude, take it somewhere else. There's lots of channels you can get your advice from. Look, you can go over to Bob and Sally's channel. They do Section 8 videos. She just got her search certificate out the bubblegum machine. She's going to give you advice about it, how you can take a pizza to the housing authority and win a voucher. A lot of lunatics making videos that aren't real consultants. So for those of you that are here and serious, I don't bring up any subject matters lightly. And since there already is a federal intervention and this has already been partially rolled out, then I think it's safe to say that it's a 3-year pilot program, and I'm hoping to see all the different places involved. This could be a real solution. And to be honest with you guys, nothing would give me greater joy than retire. I can make videos about other things, maybe even cats, right? I've been doing this a very, very long time. I probably serviced around 20,000 people at this point in India, and that means there's about 20,000 people that have contacted our office through section8consulting.com that I've done casework for, that have received vouchers and got housing. And without the intervention, a lot of these people would have wandered around and waited 20 years for a voucher or ended up accepting an offer from the housing authority to go live in their project, and then they can go live in a low income, prostitute ridden, gang stricken neighborhood. And that's not a way to live. That's why I think cash assistance is a real solution. I'm not saying there won't be fraud and plenty of games played because, like anything else in this world, when you start offering people cash, the games start, and so does the fraud. But I mean, that's with anything. Lots of people took out loans they shouldn't have during the pandemic, and these people weren't even voucher holders. So crooked runs deep in our country. People, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. I expect that. But at the same time, I don't see a lot of people that so desperately need the extra help to get housing on a burning hurry to go out and A, commit fraud with these funds, and B, after they've waited so long for housing to go and tear up some landlord's house. This is all the things the news has done a fabulous job of singing songs about, and the prejudicial way that they deliver the news. This is why I don't even watch the news, because you can't even believe half the stuff they tell you. They only want to focus on the worst and the bad parts, and they don't actually talk about the bigger segment that, while it is an unpopular program amongst politicians, it has greatly benefited and afforded many people with that are seniors and disabled and so on the ability to get housing. And I think that that is what humans need. We're not cats. We're not dogs. And when people don't have the money to do it, but yet they were good enough to work all their life and pay taxes, then there should be no more shame. Let me ask you a question to this audience. you get to 72 years old, you receive a Social Security check, or maybe you're 62 and you accept that Social Security check. Ain't nobody ashamed of that. When you paid into the system and worked all your life, Section 8 was originally designed for those of you that needed some extra assistance. It was never designed for people to be ashamed of it. Again, nobody's ashamed of the check you received. Then why would you be ashamed of paying in the HUD? Because that's what you've done. But see, that's the kind of glamour and nonsense that the news focuses on. And now they somehow turn to somehow it's a social program. No, it's you're an American. You paid your taxes. You have every fucking right. If you need help, this is what it's for. And how we've turned this into somehow that it's some kind of racial and prejudicial deal where people should be ashamed is nuts. How we ever arrived at this 80 years later is just beyond me. Everybody's got a fucking opinion, and so do a politician, but it isn't until they, and only when they've been dragged in the ditch themselves, or watch their own family members turn into drug addicts and other things, that they truly understand the true scope or depravity of all of this. That humans need housing. Sometimes not everybody's born to be rich. Not everybody's got the best planning at the end. My parents' house basically burned down. They don't have much more than most of my clients. And so, what? I should call them a crackhead? I think my mother or my father are prostitutes? That they're trash? They should go live in a worse area? You see how we got all this fucked up? This is the problem that I have in trying to convey a nice message to people, is that we spend so much time trying to worry about other people's business and judging everybody else's ass when they can't even deal with their own family. When you can't even get your own business right, you worry about everybody else and whether they got Section 8 and the voucher, and you're so quick to judge. But the reality of it is you need to mind your own business, figure out your own shit, and then you'll be able to benefit from things. And so I guess the real goal here throughout the video really is, it's my greatest hope that before I retire, that we're able to eliminate the possibility of having to use housing authorities, and that we can eliminate all the other processes that make this such a difficult one, including all the different people that make this such a miserable process, all the bureaucracy, and be able to give people fundamentally what they need, and that's the ability to receive the cash assistance, to be able to go rent, and not just rent a project, but rent anywhere fairly and reasonably, so long as they meet program requirements, and then we can get rid of the housing authorities. How much more simply could it be? All right, well, for those of you that enjoy the profanities, you don't have to be here. I'm not going to stop being me, so I'll continue to speak as I wish. That's part of that right to be a human and a right to be an American. If you don't like it, tough shit, you know. All right, guys, well, I will see you guys in 24 to 48 hours, and I hope to give you much better details and a much better video, okay? I've enjoyed talking with you, and you have a great day.